Hello, my name is Chris Brown. I'm a PhD student at North Carolina State University working with Dr. Chris Parnin, and I'm here to present our work entitled Sorry to Bother You Again, Developer Recommendation Choice Architectures for Designing Effective Bots. The motivation behind this work is the idea that decision-making has become a vital part of software engineering. Amanda Wu, who writes for the Hacker Noon technology blog, suggests that the most important skill in software development is not how good your coding skills are or how much you know about machine learning and data science, it's decision making. So this goes to show that the ability to make good and effective decisions is a crucial part of being a software engineer. Unfortunately, developers often make bad decisions. One example of this is found in prior work by Raman and colleagues, who show that software engineers often hard code passwords and secrets into their configuration scripts. This is obviously a bad decision because other people can access these files, and this also presents security vulnerabilities for your software and applications. So the goal of this work is to address this tweet by Greg Wilson, a software engineering researcher, who suggests the most interesting topic for the next 10 years is how do we get working programmers to actually adopt better practices. Specifically, I'm interested in finding ways to help developers make better decisions and adopt better behaviors in their work. So this is the BotSE workshop. Why not use bots? As software engineering becomes more globally distributed and software developers work remotely and apart from each other, it's becoming increasingly important to find automated ways to help developers make better choices. So prior work looking at bots shows that bots are effective for automating continuous integration tasks, running tests, helping out with code reviews, integrating tools. Overall, developers find bots extremely useful for automating development tasks. However, developers often face challenges when interacting with bots. So Wessel and colleagues show that even though bots are effective for helping developers complete development tasks, developers often face challenges interacting with bots because they have poor decision support mechanisms, and they can also provide incomprehensible feedback. So the goal of this work is to improve the bot-developer relationship to help bots make better recommendations to software engineers. So last year in BotSE 2019, motivated from the movie Sorry to Bother You, we introduced this naive telemarketer design. This is a baseline approach to describe how bots make recommendations to developers. Similar to a telemarketer, this approach makes generic recommendations without any context or any customized messages to users, but a blanket recommendation for a specific software engineering behavior or practice. We implemented this design in Tool Recommender Bot, which automatically recommends static analysis tools to developers using automated pull requests. For our evaluation, we looked at ErrorProne, which is a static analysis tool for Java, and we analyzed this tool on 52 GitHub repositories. Here's a sample pull request from Tool Recommender Bot using our naive telemarketer design. As you can see here, it's a very generic recommendation without any customization for the repo. It just presents a sample error and a sample error message presented by ErrorProne. And we suggest they can use this tool in order to find and fix more bugs in their code. So as you can imagine, this was a very ineffective way to make recommendations to developers. Only 2 of our 52 pull requests were accepted. Developers also provided a lot of feedback in the pull request comments on why they found this recommendation ineffective or why they closed or ignored it. We sum this up into 2 main categories: social context, which refers to the social aspects of software development, working as a team and contributing to a project, and then also developer workflow. So the workflow of developers, we also found that our pull requests failed existing checks for most projects of systems that already have built in continuous integration, and we also provided more work by introducing more errors in the code. So what can we do to improve? How can we improve the effectiveness of bots to avoid making problems with social context and developer workflow to help developers ultimately make better decisions? So we propose using nudge theory, which is a behavioral science framework to improve the decision-making of humans. A nudge refers to any factor in decision-making that does not offer an incentive or ban alternatives. So you cannot pay people to make better decisions, and you cannot ban people from choosing bad behaviors. The driving force behind nudge theory is this idea of choice architecture, which suggests the way that choices are framed and presented to users actually impacts the decision they make. One example of this is in the design of a grocery store, as we see in this Simpsons cartoon here. The way a grocery store is set up actually impacts the decisions that people make in a grocery store. For example, research shows putting fruits and vegetables at the front of a grocery store encourages humans to consume more fruits and vegetables in their diet. So Johnson and colleagues introduced 11 practical tools for choice architecture to integrate into any recommendation or any target behavior that you want humans to improve. We analyze these 11 and present 3 developer recommendation choice architectures: actionability, feedback, and locality. These are specific ways to frame and present recommendations to developers in order to help them improve their behavior based on the tools on the left. For the paper and for the rest of this presentation, we will focus on actionability. So actionability refers to the ease with which users can act on recommendations. Going back to our grocery store example, if you put donuts at the front of your grocery store, this makes it easier for users, or in this case, grocery store shoppers, to grab donuts and eat unhealthy foods. But again, research shows that putting fruits and vegetables at the front of the grocery store increases the amount of fruits and vegetables purchased and the healthier foods that are consumed by users. So we present our preliminary evaluation. In this study, we looked at 15 professional software engineers and we gave them a survey. The survey featured 2 automated recommendations, one that we refer to as a static recommendation and one as an actionable recommendation, which we will see on the next slide. The idea behind the recommendations is fixing PEP 3105 errors, which makes print a function. Python officially switched over from Python 2 to Python 3. In Python 3, print statements are no longer statements, but they are functions, so strings need to be contained in parentheses. Python also says this change will render most of today's print statements invalid. So we want to encourage developers to not only make this change, but to also update to Python 3 by using PEP 3105 recommendations. So in our static recommendation, we simply present a comment on a pull request. Here, the comment says that the latest Python version uses print as a function instead of a statement. Here's a fix for this line of code in question. So PEP is a style code that's generally accepted by most static analysis tools to analyze Python code. Here we present a fix for this error with the print passed in parentheses. And we also suggest upgrading to Python 3 overall. In our actionable recommendation, the content of the recommendation is exactly the same, except this time we're using the GitHub suggested changes feature. This feature allows code reviewers to provide feedback to contributors on their pull requests by making specific code suggestions. It also allows the contributors to automatically apply the suggestions from the reviewers to their code using this commit suggestions button. You can automatically commit it to your pull request without having to go and commit a whole new version of the pull request on the project. All right, so in our survey, we presented developers with both the static and actionable recommendations. We found that 100% of the developers, all of them, preferred the actionable recommendation. In our survey, we also gathered qualitative feedback for why they felt that the actionable recommendation was better than the static one. So going back to our tools for choice architecture, the tools that we use for actionability refer to technology aids and using defaults. So the default rule says that if you have a list of options, most people will automatically select whatever the default is. For technology aids, we found that developers found that the visual aspects of this tool, the GitHub suggested changes feature and our actionable recommendation, made it easier to read, provided better feedback. A lot of people were familiar with the git diff format, and this was ultimately better for them to make an informed decision on whether or not to accept this recommendation. So here P15 talks about the visual spacing and colors, makes it easier to read, less easy to ignore, and it gives the options to quickly fix. For defaults, participant 14 says that both recommendations provide the same information, but recommendation A, in this case, which is the actionable recommendation, also handles some of the work needed to act upon it. So it's more helpful for the recipient. It allows you to automatically apply the recommendation to your code. So the implications of this is that we believe incorporating these developer recommendation choice architectures, actionability, feedback, and locality can improve the effectiveness of bots and help developers make better decisions. In future work, we aim to do a further study on actionability and also evaluate the rest of our recommendation choice architectures to see what impact they have on helping developers make better decisions and ultimately improving the behavior and decision making of software engineers in their work. All right, thanks for checking out my talk, and sorry for bothering you.